That's a second step. They got other things they can do.
Good evening. I'd like to call the school board meeting for Monday, December 14th, 2015 to order. Roll call, please.
Hanlon here.
Lauka here.
Williams here. Barb Halron and Brian Vanderpeek are excused this evening. So we do have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There's no additions or corrections. Need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Announcement of executive session. In accordance with Wisconsin Statute 19.851G, an executive session will be held at the end of the meeting for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. G, citizens and our delegations. Is there anybody here this evening that'd like to speak to anything that's not on the agenda? Anything that's not on the agenda? Okay. We'll go on to Bright Lights presentation. We got a packed meeting here with our Pioneer School people. Pete, you want to
Yep, we'd like to introduce, we're going to have two Bright Lights from Pioneer tonight. First, we have Holiday Road Trip. All of our students are going to introduce themselves right now, starting with Carly.
I'm Carly, and I am in 5th grade. I'm Eli, and I'm in 5th grade. I'm Avery, and I'm in 5th grade. I'm Ava, and I'm in 4th grade. I'm Lily, and I'm in 5th grade. I'm Addison, and I'm in 5th grade. I'm Alex Smith, and I'm in 4th grade.
And they would like to share one scene and a quick song with you. And we have Mrs. Conrad and Miss Levinsky here.
Oh, we're not in Florida anymore. Everybody else, welcome to the Lone Star State. Wow, this is a special bus. Yeehaw, Christmas in Texas? What could be better than that? They say down here, longhorn cattle pull Santa's sleigh. Could be.
And they were wreaths on a cactus.
You mean cacti?
What?
You mean cacti. You said they make wreaths as in more than one, when you should have said cacti, the plural of cactus.
And they make wreaths out of cacti.
Much better.
My Texas friends eat tamales and light their sidewalks with luminaria.
They decorate their houses with Texas-sized poinsettias.
And they dance to the music of the Jingle Bell Boogie. I have actually never heard of the Jingle Bell Boogie.
Well, that's the last time you'll ever be able to say that. Come on, y'all. Let's boogie.
Next, we're going to move right along, and Pioneer students, come on over here. Sneak on over. We're going to start with Mrs. Amundsen.
Yes.
She is going to share a some quick grant information.
Yes, I am.
And we're gonna sneak into an interactive strategy right after that with Mrs. Caston.
All right, my name is Mary Amos and I teach 4th grade at Pioneer. And this summer I applied for the Crime Prevention Foundation of Brown County grant. Kind of because my husband, but he suggested it. And over the year we've taken a lot of Lisa's active engagement strategies courses. She's done an awesome job of providing that for the staff at everybody in Ashwaubenon. And I really was inspired because with that work, kids really learn how to work together and solve problems and academically and social skills. And so I applied for the grant because I thought it does help prevent crime when kids learn how to actually get along and work together. So I was awarded a $2,500 grant, and we used that money to buy a ton of materials for our strategy classes at Pioneer. And so today you're going to get to experience one of those strategies using some of the materials that we bought with the grant. So yeah, that's it.
All right, so you are going to need to stand up.
All right.
Students, grab your switchboards, your eraser, and your marker. Grab your materials. Sorry, I got stuck. This is fun. Okay. So what this is, the structures are phenomenal to get your kids, the students, up and moving and talking, because that's basically the two basic needs that they want met in the classroom. And when they're with their friends, they want to get up and move, and they definitely want to talk. So like Mary had said, we definitely use the structures to help build those social skills of active listening, of how to greet people, how to just socialize and interact with them, talking about not only personal things, but also about the content. So we're going to do a structure tonight that's called What's the Question? And it's a great one because you're up and you're moving. We're going to do it, typically when you do a structure, you do it for fun, the first time you do it. And you do it that way because you're trying to break down any barriers that students have with each other so that they feel comfortable to take risks, to share their thoughts and to share their ideas and to work through problem solving together with another student in their classroom. So we're going to do it real quick for fun, but then I also want to show you all the structures are content free, which means you can use them in math, you can use them in science, social studies, reading. You can use them across the board in any content area at any time with any grade level. So this one is called What's the Question? And what you do, we mix around the classroom to music. Your voice is off and you're just mixing. And it's usually for only about 5 to 7 seconds. It's just to get that oxygen to the brain, to get them thinking about what they could encounter as a question. Then what happens is the music stops. You find the person that's closest to you, give them a high five or a fist bump to say, hello, hi, how are you, how's it going today, just so that they know that you're welcoming them as your partner. Then you automatically stand back to back so that I know it's a visual cue for the teacher that that students are ready. I will then say, okay, class. And you'll say,
What's the question?
So then I'll give you a question to pose. I'll pose the question for you. I'll give you some think time. You write down and you're still back to back. Then I'll say partner share. You share it with your partner, talk about it, and then I'll randomly call on someone to share what their partner shared so that they're accountable for listening and they're accountable for what they were talking to with their partner. And you give them a high five, say thanks. Thanks for working with me, thanks for listening, you rock. And then we do it again, we're mixing around. Okay, so the first time, these switchboards are phenomenal, and almost every teacher in the building got some. So what it is I put these in here for you. We're going to use the front and the back side, so they're ready to go. But you can stick any content worksheet in these, and it gives the students opportunities to write right on here. Okay, so we're ready with What's the Question. So we're going to mix around, and I already told the kids that they're going to try to partner up with you so that you get a chance to work with them. Okay, all right, so here we go. Nice job. Stand back to back. Okay, class.
What's the question?
All right, you're going to be working on your to-do list. Now what you're going to do is I want you to right now think about all of the things that you have to do before Christmas. Okay, okay, I want you to write down now some things that you have to work on before Christmas. And when you're finished, you can hide it right here up by your chest. All right, I'm going to stop you now. What I want you to do is I want you to partner share. Person that's closest to the floor, you'll share first. Person closest to the ceiling, that's your turn. High five. Sorry, that's a signal. High five, that means you stop. That's a signal, adults. All right, give your partner a high five and say thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. All right, and you're mixing around. I'll do it the next time. All right, remember, stand back to back. Erase your boards, and now we're going to go on to the clock side. This is just a real short way, real quick way to show you how it's super easy to get this into the content. So what I want you to do is I want you to draw the time 2:30. And when you're finished, I want you to hide it on your chest. Partner share. Double check. And Avery, can you show your clock to everyone in the class to make sure that theirs matches yours? Nice job. Give your partner a high five and say thanks for working with me.
Good job. Great.
And then we mix back around, but we'll have you, since you have to experience it, I'll collect your materials. And you can go back to your seats.
All right. Thank you, Pioneer students. Thank you, Mrs. Gaston. Thank you, Okay. Well, that was we always get interesting presentations, don't we?
The energy.
Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of the regular meeting held on Monday, November 23rd. Schedule of checks written 11/17 to 12/7. Staffing retirement request of Mara Manning from art instructor position at the high school. Hire of Javier Martinez to the nighttime custodian position at the high school, effective yesterday. The resignation of Laura Rowell from her noon duty supervisor position at Cormier. The hire of Deborah Radloff to noon duty super position at Cormier. And co-curricular contracts, there's 5 of them.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
A motion is second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Superintendent's report.
Yeah,
Brian.
just have about 4 things I just want to mention. I want to talk first and congratulate all the students that were involved at the middle school and the high school in a program called Skills USA. And what that is, it's a partnership of students, teachers, and the industry where they work together to ensure that America has a skilled workforce. And we had 32 middle school and high school members compete, and they brought home about 19 different medals. This happened, I believe, about 2 weeks ago. So congratulations to everybody involved in that. Also, we have another competition. It's called the Wisconsin Finance and Investment Challenge Bowl. That's a mouthful. Wisconsin's Finance Investment Challenge Bowl, and that's held every year at the Technical College. And the team finished with 265 points.
They were in first place. In the second and third place teams, to give you an example of how well the kids did, finished with 175 points and 140 points, the second and third place teams. So I want to congratulate Jamnis, Devon, Tia, and Daruva on their competition with that particular bowl. And I know Tammy also wanted to mention we have some situations going on with our vans, so she wants to kind of bring up to speed with our special ed vans that we're using.
Yeah, one of the board updates a few weeks ago, I just updated that I'm looking at a rotation for the vans. Right now, the school vans, we have 3 that are used for special ed student transportation to and from school and for different community activities and the work program. And we've been having a lot of maintenance issues. I know, Mark, one of them was brought to you maybe about 6 weeks ago. So after that, we've had a couple other issues with one of them, and we aren't able to drive it right now. That happened last Thursday. So I don't know that we are looking at repairing it. It's not in good shape at all. So I'm looking at getting bids. I have one bid already from Broadway here in Ashwaubenon. We have bid out, or we have taken, tried to get estimates from 3 other places who are reluctant to give us estimates right now because their insurance companies are saying there's a liability issue if they sell us a new vehicle because it's used with students, and they're getting away from doing that. So I'm still working to get estimates from some other companies. So I may need to come to you between now and the next board meeting to get approval to possibly purchase one, because we are down to using 2 right now.
So where's the funds coming from?
They would be coming from the IDEA grant.
You check with Lamers?
I did not check with Lamers.
I mean, they might be able to get you through the,
But there are restrictions on what we can have. We can't have more than 9 passenger vans by
they
state
still might be
laws.
able to get you around that loophole if they're not gonna sell direct. I don't know.
It's worth checking into.
Yeah.
I'm open for any suggestions. So right now Broadway does have one, but I am trying to see if we can get other things. We've looked online a little bit, and we've gone through Appleton for one, but the one that we had looked at last week, you need the
CDL license.
CDL license, and we're not looking at doing that because we have too many staff that are driving these vehicles to require that.
And at that size, it would have to be painted like a school bus to be legal.
Yeah.
So
So I just wanted to give you an update on that.
Okay. I was familiar with it a little bit, so.
Yeah.
Are these Don Zander vans?
They are,
Wow.
yeah,
So
purchased in 2000
it's
and
several
2000.
years old.
Remember that? That was a long time ago.
Yeah. So they're 15 years, and Mark can kind of maybe
Yeah.
talk. He looked at
They're-
one and was, yeah.
Expensive to repair and to get back drivable, so I mean, just physical wise, and it's not including all the other issues as far as mechanical and stuff that they got going on too, so.
Very good. And lastly, I just want to say thank you for very generous staff and board. And I think back to all the things that have happened this last month and a half, with Thanksgiving donations, food drives, the giving tree. I learned about another one this morning. They make cookies at Cormier, and they raise money for scholarships. Just have a lot of people, the staff members that participated with United Way again this year, not to take any of that for granted. So we got a lot of really neat people in Ashwaubenon that are paying it forward to help a lot of families out at this time of the year. So just want to say thank you to the entire staff and to the board. A lot of people pulling on that same rope. So happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks, Brian. We'll move on to discussion items. Open enrollment policy 5113. This is something that we have to do annually. There's no changes in the policy, really, just
Updated to current state law. State requirement, I should say.
Okay, so do we, this is the first reading?
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of what we do is policy work, just first reading, second readings. We go through a lot of different things. This is mandated, so we just have to start out with the first reading on this one, and then next reading we'll bring it back. And next month we'll bring it back for second readings and finalize it so that we can put it in action. The next things that you're going to see us do is second reading on a whole bunch of policies. It's going to be kind of boring probably, but I mean, it's something that's our main job here on the board is to go over policies, so. So
We'll
we're
go through these one by one.
well, the first open enrollment policy, we're okay with that. I mean, everybody's, so that if there's any questions on this, please bring them back to our next meeting. And we'll go on to K1, which is bylaws and policy updates. And yes, I'd like to take these one by one because there is a lot of them. Some of them need some clarification from the board. And it's easier gonna be it's gonna be easier for us to take them.
Basically, straight across, so starting with.
Well, the first one I got here is 100. The change there, you can see the different changes that are proposed there. I'm not going to read through these changes. The third page on here. It's going to say page 5 of 5 on the top, though, under support staff.
Okay.
Excuse me. You're back to back here, Corey. So page 5 of 5, vote of meeting of the Board of Education. The law requires that board members must be present in order to have their voice officially recorded in the board minutes and be available for a roll call vote. A board member may be present at a meeting if attending by telephone or other manner or remote access, provided that the meeting is properly held. That's an addition, that second sentence there. I want to know what the intent is there. I guess, is that so that the person can vote on this then?
No,
Right.
they can't vote. Does that the next line say they can't vote?
But they're officially attending the meeting, so are they able to vote? We've had this discussion at village board, and there, they allow them to vote by phone. I don't think it's right, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here.
Well, this would actually say that they can vote because they're present.
They're
If they
present
attend by telephone.
electronically or by
Right.
telephone.
I'm assuming by proxy is having someone sit in for you, yes?
That's
Okay.
my understanding.
So this is just permissible by law, but not
I mean, I don't have a-
dictated by law?
Right.
Right, you can set the policy how you want. So if you don't want to allow it, we just need to change this verbiage.
Board's prerogative. And what you
I don't have a
prefer.
problem with the board member attending by phone. Okay, so the first part of that sentence I'm okay with. Or Skype or something like that. So that's, or remote access. But I think after that, where it says, any board member will be present in a meeting or by attending by telephone or other manner of remote access. But it has to say something, but it's not allowed participation in any vote or something like that.
Okay.
That's my feeling on it. I don't know.
I agree. I think
You,
You know, I mean, we could dig into why that is. Is it because we're expected to make this a priority and physically be here? Is that the, I mean, I don't disagree with that necessarily, but we only have one meeting a month. That's not a lot.
the rationale by, I'm gonna just tell you what happened at the village board. The rationale of the village board, I was opposed to it there as well. Allowing voting to occur on anybody on the phone. The people that think that it's the right thing to do, their rationale was they made the time to call in. They're still at the meeting, but they're physically just not here. So, I mean, it's, they're still making the time to do it. They're getting the materials, they're reading it, but they're just, so just because they're not in the room, they think that they should be able to vote. I don't know, I have a hard time with that. That's not the way that we used to do it, and or that we've ever did it.
I think any time a vote really, really matters. I mean, there's very few votes that are split on this board to begin with.
True.
I would think that if there was something really heavy coming up, we would entertain a rescheduling of a meeting to accommodate a full
Well,
board versus
how about,
having to do it.
I'm okay with if we use, at regular board meetings, but any closed session discussion that they can be a member but not part of a vote. Because that, they don't get a lot of what's happening unless they're Skyping in probably. I'm throwing it out there, I guess,
I think the clearest thing is to not vote unless you're here, and so you take out the word present. And I'm okay with that, because I think that as a board, we do reschedule if we had something really important. I think we'd reschedule to accommodate a full board.
So you're just saying a board member may be at a meeting if attending by telephone or other manner of remote access private if the meeting is properly held.
However, they will not be able to.
Vote.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
We don't know about the other two because they haven't Skyped in, so.
You guys have any problem with that?
They're not allowed to vote.
Right. You want to take these one at a time?
Yeah.
Do we have a motion on this one then? Those changes?
Is that my agenda says first read. Is this actually?
It's
second
actually,
read?
it's
These are
supposed to be
actually
second. That's supposed to be second.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve that, bylaw 100
With the changes?
with the changes, yes.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next one we got is, vacancies, 140, is that correct?
104, 2.5.
It's the bylaw is 140, but underneath that 140 is a lot of sub-bylaws, like 142.5.
Okay.
So this particular one starts off with 142.5.
Okay. 142.5. It's about vacancies and for board vacancies, filling a board vacancy.
So is this, the part that's crossed out in red, if the majority of the board is still seated, is that a change in state statute? Or is that a change in Ashwaubenon?
These are all recommended changes to these bylaws. They're not required. So these are what Neola is recommending, but they are not required.
Okay.
Anything that you see struck in all of these policies, it's a recommendation.
It's up to us.
Up to you, and it's a recommendation from Neola, from their legal services.
A lot of these.
If you look at this, this will tell you if they're recommended or if they're required. So under these ones, I put if these are recommended, but they're not required for this first set, these bylaws.
Yep.
I'm not talented enough to pull them both up on my screen at the same time. That's probably a way to do that.
That's why I took this.
Okay, thank you.
So there really wouldn't be anything in that first one then, right?
Well, filling the board vacancy, the 142.5, I think that it's okay the way it is. The recommended changes are okay.
So the first line where they struck it, if a majority of the board is still seated. So what if there's only 2 people left on the board? Would you really feel comfortable having 2 people on the board decide the other 3
They
positions?
couldn't do that because you'd have to have a quorum, don't they?
That's what, but they struck out, if a majority of the board is still seated, the vacancy shall be filled by the board using the following procedure. This would allow 2 people to fill 3 spots. That does not seem democratically correct.
I wouldn't.
What is,
Do you know what I mean?
No, you have to have a majority present to vote, to be a legal meeting.
But if you had 3 people leave the board, so you had 2 left, so you did not have a majority still seated, those 2 people could decide 3 other positions, which could really weight the board. If
Well,
you
what,
had
it
an
doesn't give
issue.
us a different, it doesn't give us a different option for filling the vacancies if we have less than a majority anyways.
So that would be less majority. Well, if it's seated, you're right, that would be seated, would be two, would be.
But if that would happen, Jenny, I mean, in
You would fill
practice,
one, wouldn't you?
You
Then?
would temporarily assign someone, they would decide whether they wanna stay on the board, and as soon as that end of that year would end, they would go up to election.
So it would only be for till the next.
Right.
The remaining
Right.
board.
Okay.
But I don't know that you'd have any other option, frankly. I think that's what, I think would be highly unlikely we have 3 people, that would happen, but I understand what you're saying.
All right.
So I mean, the crossing it off doesn't, you still gotta fill it somehow, and you're gonna
That's
be
right.
filling it at the next election anyway, so. There's me and you here, and everybody else is gone. We'd appoint the other ones, basically, and then the rest of, then they'd have to go for election at the next meeting,
All right.
or the next election. Okay, we have a motion on this 142.5.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, wonderful. We'll go to 142.7.
Just there.
This is for board orientation.
I'm not sure.
This is basically saying you don't no longer have to hand them a book with everything. You can direct them to an electronic file.
Yeah. Some of the stuff I think is helpful to see it hard copy. I mean, I don't know the last time I saw access to the policy manual. I mean, I didn't see the whole policy manual ever. It's been a long time. Do we have a hard copy of it?
Yes. Online is more current.
Most everything we do now, even like the staff handbook, it's online and accessible to the staff through the staff section.
Because it's ever evolving.
It is. It's easier to keep up to date.
Can
But there's no problem. If someone who's new and they want hard copies of whatever, you can certainly do that.
Do you think it's relevant to add, each new board member shall be invited to meet with, you got, board president, superintendent, business manager, what about,
Principals.
curriculum director and, might as well.
Director of Pupil
Pupil
There you go.
services.
Board tour, tour of the buildings.
Sure, we could.
So, and, they don't have to take them if they don't want to, but it says that you can, if they're invited at least.
Superintendent, all directors is what you're really saying.
Sure.
Sure.
Anything else on that?
Mm-mm.
I'll make a motion to approve bylaw 142.7.
Okay. In a second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now we got 55, 14.01.
Just read this one. 0145.
Where is that one?
That's page 4 or 5 on that, or what?
14 or
same
15.
section.
One we just done.
And this just legally adds language to protect board members also from any type of harassment. Like we
Okay.
have with staff, it has the board under that same protective class.
I'll make a motion to approve as it is.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Now we're on 55.14.01. I don't think we should go over this one at all. Or the snowmobile section on this
No.
anyways?
No. That is correct, that's what I saw.
Unless you got the snowmobile parking lot up there.
More room, maybe.
Um, Okay, so we still gotta have this policy in here just without, just the way it is listed as, what we
Yeah,
got?
we just wouldn't select that option.
Where all
Okay.
the X's are, that's what we're selecting.
First they gotta get it to school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not selected, so we're not,
Okay.
rural districts actually allow this and do it, obviously, you know.
yeah,
That's why
It's
it's an
like bring your
option.
tractor to school.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve policy 551401.
Okay,
I'll
second.
second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 5730, equal access for non-district sponsored student clubs and activities.
This is just an ever-changing wording of protected classes. You see that they're constantly changing and revising the wording.
Including transgender status and so on.
This is fairly long, so, do a motion on this? Or any
Make a motion
questions?
to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. This goes all the way down to,
What'd you say, 57? Oh, gosh. Listen to this one.
I gotta find it. Here.
Are we on
2260. Is that right?
Did we go through 5751?
51, and that deals with school-age parents.
Now that second section, the options aren't checked?
Correct.
Okay, 5751.
So what we're adding is under letter C, the underline, again reflecting state law. And obviously, whether the child is school age, whether a parent or not a parent, we want all kids to be educated, so it's protecting their rights to be educated, not discriminated against.
So is that option supposed to be checked though?
You have to select that option to get A, B on that first page and C on the second page. So you can choose that option to have A, B, and C or not.
So is it saying we will provide these on that option?
I think
For the-
that's what it's saying.
So are we doing this now?
Oh, we're not, we don't have a check,
No.
so we're not doing
I
it.
mean, we're not offering any of these
No,
services.
if we were doing it now, there'd be a check in front of it.
So this would all be new things we have to implement.
I can imagine the word may being in front of this, but not mandatory.
Right.
And there's no may to this.
Okay,
So I don't think I would check it.
I don't think so either.
I don't either.
That's why I asked.
So, a motion to pass it as
As it is.
it
presented.
is.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we're on
1213.
1213.
Student supervision and welfare.
Yes.
It's just delineating the supervision and the responsibility of the principal, or a principal can designate someone who's responsible for that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve policy 1213.
Why didn't we check, I think this is deja vu, why didn't we check an administrative staff member shall not send students on any personal errands?
Yeah.
The private vehicle. Without approval of principal.
But up, previous page, the bottom of the previous page.
On 2 or 3?
Let's see, 1.
On 1.
Yep, that was one of my questions too, I guess.
I would think, we may as well check it.
Might as well check it. Otherwise, Keith would have his Christmas shopping done probably.
It's very important to me, I take personal time.
There you go.
All right.
Okay?
Okay, sure. So I'll approve it with that change. I mean, I'll make a motion with that change. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye. Sorry, you should have hooked us up to like little,
Yeah.
like electronic detectors to keep us moving.
Okay, we're at 2241.
And there's an option that's now a legal requirement that's outlined there. That's the change.
What did you just say, Brian?
There's an option versus now there's a legal requirement regarding non-reemployment. And I notice you have to provide a reason.
The superintendent has to be given a chance to correct.
Yeah.
It is one now. Before it was an option to give them that chance. Now you have to give them a chance.
It's a legal requirement here. It's just a legal.
This is pretty close to what I remember it to be, so I mean, there's, a lot of it's just changing district administrator to superintendent, so.
All right, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Get a motion in a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes. Oh, 2260.
Yeah, section 504, it's just a legal update to reflect the current law. We stipulate a male and a female compliance officer. That would be Brian and that would be Tammy.
Do they,
The biggest change is on page 4. Just what the parents' right is.
okay,
Okay, on 3, there's a note that says select more than one option of where the names and titles and contact information will be published, and there's only one checked. So I think we have to check a second one.
It's also on the district website.
It's not checked on there though.
it is.
Should be checked. And I would have to check if it's in the calendar, but I believe it may be in the calendar as well. Brad, do you know that?
What is the item?
If 504 contacts are listed in the school calendar and the insert,
I'm offhand.
yeah, I'd have to look at the
I know
calendar.
the discrimination type things
Mhm.
are, but I'm not sure what
So the website should be checked?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Website should
School
be.
district's
And then the
website.
calendar.
School district website and individual school's website.
Mhm.
Are we doing the district calendar too or no?
I can double check and see if it's in there.
So is it on the our individual schools they have their own page, but not their own websites. So I don't know if that would count as a second check. You know what I mean?
True, it's the same website.
I think what they're trying to do is just make sure this,
Yeah.
this information is available in two places. So the website's one, and I
It's in
think
the
we need a
calendar.
second one.
So if it's not on the calendar, we add it next year,
Yeah.
if we wanna check that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve 2260-01.
I'll second.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Feel the need to apologize to everyone sitting out here.
Yeah, this is kind
Tedious.
of,
Volunteers.
hold on a second, on page 7 of 9, as I'm just paging through here, I see that there's two options for a chance to check either the principal or the district administrator. On
On the last policy?
2260.01, yes, 2260.01. In making such a determination, the CO should consult the principal or district administrator prior to any action being taken. It doesn't have, it's selected.
Maybe district administrator?
Okay. Just so everybody's on knows,
I'll read it.
okay?
So make a motion to approve as.
No, just, we'll just
Okay.
amend it, I guess.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
8120 volunteers, to delete this one,
That's deleting that whole policy.
yes,
Do we have to motion that then?
yes.
Make a motion to approve deleting that policy, 312009.
312009 and 412009 were deleted and combined into one new policy, 8120.
And delete 412009.
Yep.
I'll second.
You've got a motion, a second, to delete 312009 and 412009. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 81, okay, so,
And then I'll make a motion to approve 8120.
There you go.
okay.
Should look at it first.
Is this what we usually do? Superintendent shall be responsible for recruiting community volunteers. Doesn't that happen at the building level?
Well, I work with the community volunteer coordinator now, that's Kathy O'Brien, but Kathy really would be the one that does.
But like, doesn't each school have their own, like if I want to volunteer at an individual school, would I necessarily come through Kathy O'Brien?
No, you might also go through the principal. I think the important part of this policy is just about the background check. People that are working with kids, that we have consistent background checks. But if you want to say superintendent and or
Designee.
designee.
I think you might want to include that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay.
Made a motion.
I'll second.
Good motion to approve 8120. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. 3121.
3121 and 4121 are the same policy. One is for professional staff and one is for support staff.
Why did they split them up like that? Why,
Just-
why did they just make it all staff? I mean,
Just so that they're addressing all the different groups, if something specific comes up, and the person is a support staff.
yeah, but it's
member
not gonna,
versus-
we're not gonna pass a different policy for one group than someone else, I don't think.
Most of the time, you're right. Most of the time, they're identical.
Okay,
Just the way they categorize it.
got a motion to approve 4121 and 3121?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I believe we're on 3230, aren't we?
Yes.
D on the second page of this, we got a check mark, is that an E then?
No, well. We could make it an E, I guess, but either that or just by checking it, you know that's in the policy.
So all the other ones are in the policy, A, B, C, and D, correct? And we would just be adding?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that would make sense just to make it E.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve the policy 3230.
Okay.
I'll second it. Has there
Is
been
there-
any,
4230 as well?
And 4230, right? You have a question, Jenny?
Support staff.
I was just wondering if, I'm trying to think of any instances where this would be challenged or the case. And I can't think of any, so I'll just let it be.
Okay.
But yes, second to both of them.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 3281, personal property.
I'll make a motion to,
I-
but wait a second, there's a check.
I don't,
There's gotta be a check on there.
I don't know if I like this policy or not, to be very honest with you. I'll give you an example. Teachers bring in books for kids all the time. A lot of them have their own personal libraries, you know, the different age levels, especially the younger grade levels. That's a big advantage to the district, and I don't think that if one of them got wrecked and they had a request for us for a $5 book, that we would want to fight that. As far as a personal property damages,
But I think we could still reimburse them, but this doesn't require us to, because there may be things that we don't want people necessarily to have or leave here, and I don't want to be required to pay it. And an easy example I can give you, we have staff who may bring a coffee maker, or refrigerator, a personal device like that. If it breaks over Christmas break, we don't want to be on the hook because there wasn't somebody here watching it.
What about computers? How do we treat that with kids?
We treat, what about?
If they bring their own device in,
This is staff.
how do we treat it with kids?
We have high school students who bring their own device all the time.
And if they break it at school grounds, it's all their responsibility?
Yes.
Sure.
If
They
they
sign
break,
that.
if they break the district provided one, it's still their responsibility.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And think of it in terms of if any staff member brought an item of great value that was a personal item. You know, I understand what you're saying about books, Mark, but this really addresses.
I just took that as
Yeah.
it's something I know that, you know, elementary teachers do, you know, quite often. And I'm sure that there's other examples of higher cost things that they do as well.
Did you make a motion, Jenny?
No,
Are we
I started.
checking that in accordance with the teacher handbook?
I know it's not even in the teacher handbook. I don't think you want to check it. There's no reference to this.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve without the check.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We're
Motion
in the home
passes.
stretch.
8390. Animals on district property.
We want lots
Boy,
of
oh
animals on
boy.
district property.
Kind of
This is
common
for
sense.
non-service animals. I mean,
Yeah. Just gives us some legal leeway if something would happen and someone would need an animal even on a bus for, you know, a handicapping condition, that there's parameters around that. If something would not be appropriate, gives us the authority to work with the bus company in that case. Don't know if we've ever experienced this, but
no.
as well as just it outlines do's and don'ts.
So
I think it's common sense.
there's a check there for vaccinations, licensing, and veterinary requirements?
There's not.
No.
I mean, there's not a check, that's what I meant, that's what it
You
should
know,
be.
the commitment that we would have then to have to.
Do you want one there?
No.
Okay.
I mean, where are you looking if there's not a check?
The reason,
Because-
how he explained it to us was if you check that, then you have to make sure that any like classroom pet, if they have a gerbil or whatever, also. So you'd be spending a lot of time checking records on every little rodent that was brought in.
That's why there's no way to want that.
Right, Kurt, you don't want that, do you?
You want to count them, that's on every rodent?
We have a motion on 83.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Guess what?
We're done with that.
We're done.
You're a funny guy.
Why don't you guys get to it? You got those policies.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We'll move on to K2, alternative expulsion hearing policy. This one we discussed last meeting quite extensively already, and Tammy, you gave us some more information here.
Yes, what I gave you is just an example. I have examples from Pulaski, Howard, Swamico, West Depew, a number of our local districts that use the advance agreement as well. I gave you a copy of an example of what Howard Swamico has put in place for a student, just to show you that when we're looking at an advance agreement, it's not a meeting where we sit down with the student and parent, we say, okay, it's your first time, we're going to give you a second chance, you can go back to class. It's something that's really spelled out as far as what they need to do. If it is a drug-related offense, we may put something in place similar to that where they have to get involved with drug counseling or drug testing. They would need to be showing us that they're involved in something in order to be able to come back to school and be participating with the group.
Are most districts doing this?
Many districts are doing this in the state right now.
Now, is this a workable document that you can change the wording on it per
Right.
case?
Any abeyance agreement, it would be individualized based on the student's situation and what is going on. So it would be based on what we know. If we know, as Ginny talked about at the last meeting, that a parent doesn't have financial means to do something, we're not going to put that in. We'll figure out a way that we can work around that and see what resources we have to work with that. There are situations where some districts write in alternative school programming for students. In those situations, we could contract with CISA 7 to get some of those services as well, but that would be a cost to the district if we did that.
I think the wording in here is administration has the right to consider abeyance for first-time offenders. Right sounds a little off, maybe option or may.
Sure.
Soften it a little bit, okay.
The other thing is, while I won't be here to enjoy this discussion, it seems like after a year or some experience with it, I do think this is really important, because I think as a board, we do want to know that we don't enjoy expelling kids, that's for darn sure, but would like to know the effectiveness of abeyance agreements. And maybe there's alternative ways to approach similar things. I know restorative justice is very labor intensive, but very solid approach. And, if this doesn't seem to work or serve our students well, we might want to invest deeper or find something else.
I agree. We should probably put it on the docket for maybe next year at this time. Just to relook at it.
I mean, it may not, I don't know the correct time frame because you don't know how many times it would be looked at, but am I the only one thinking this?
No, that's fine. I mean, it's nice to look back at the decisions you make to see how they.
Just make
what
sure
they
you're
do.
happy with it and
Yeah.
see if we're serving our students well in this capacity. I don't know.
How do you want it softened? You said
Oh.
administration has the.
Has the right to, or may consider.
May consider.
Or has the option to consider. Has the option to consider, I would say.
There's something, if you look at 5610, suspension and expulsion, the current bylaws and policies. I also have added in there on the second page, early reinstatement will be considered at the discretion of the school board. that is something I sent some information on as well in the board packet, just because last time when we were meeting, I know you had mentioned as a board, sometimes you feel like your hands are tied when it gets to the point of expulsion. So what that looks at also is very similar, but you can't expel a student, but then you can say, you are expelled for this long, but if you do this, this, and that, you will have the option to come back early too. So that gives you a little more flexibility if you want to do something like that for a student. So if we don't go through the abeyance process, or maybe a student has had a first offense and had an abeyance agreement and it does need to come to the school board, you still have that option of pursuing that if you know if they've been trying and working on something as well.
Okay. So with those changes, are we good to make a motion on this?
I think so. I'm curious how, you don't know ahead of time if this is what will serve our students best, but I know current is pretty tough, so.
Well, you know as well as I do, I mean, it's always tough when they sit here and they have to make that decision.
Right.
Sometimes it's easy, but most of the time it's not. It's, you know, in the future, and you put any handicap on that kid.
Ryan, do you have insight that we should be
I think
thinking
the
of?
advance is the right way to go, to start, but I think too, you know, when you talk about restorative practice and those types of things, those are things that we should consider to look at in terms of working through those issues but I think that the previous policy really just holds everyone's feet to the fire in terms of zero tolerance, and so I really in favor and support going in this type of direction.
All right, I make a motion to approve with the minor changes that we've mentioned.
56 10? Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We'll go on to number 3, academic and career planning. Right.
Yeah, this really is a request to replace the life issues course as a graduation requirement at the high school with an education, career, and financial planning course, which would be required of all freshman students. Life issues would continue to be offered as an elective course. It wouldn't be eliminated. But really what's driving this is the state legislature a few years ago passed through Act 20 a requirement that beginning with this year's 8th graders, all students were going to have to receive or will receive academic and career planning as a requirement. And so you're given an attachment that was pretty lengthy that explained all the nuances of why, but it's a systemic approach to ensuring that we're starting with freshmen right away and getting that career plan started so that by their senior year, they have a portfolio as it relates to what do I do next, and so that we can be assured that when they walk across the stage to accept their diploma, that they have a career plan in hand. And so in looking at that career connections course, there'd be a career development component that would focus on college research, transcripts, ACT and SAT testing, developing a 4-year schedule and plan, showing students how to complete a UW application or college or post-secondary application, talk about financial aid, scholarships, community service, a life plan and goal setting, and all of those things that would be appropriate in terms of what a career development plan would be. But then also we would intertwine that financial literacy component and focus on things like the kids would complete what we call a virtual business simulation. How do we calculate interest, loans, investing, budgeting? What is a 401k and a 403b? Credit rating, credit cards, job benefits, taxes, and all those types of things as part of a career plan. The kids would be utilizing a software program that's called career cruising, which they would have a log on for their entire 4 years, where they would be able to put things in as they accumulate and develop this career plan, and that would be a part of their portfolio when they leave. The life issues is an important course, but it's also a course that we would continue to offer, and I think that kids and parents could sit down and have the opportunity to continue to take that course if they felt that that would be in the best interest of their child. So,
But we wouldn't make it a requirement, right? That's
No.
right.
Yeah,
What's
but
that?
Jill and Brian and I sat down on this as well and talked about it a week ago. And Life Issues is already offered, most of the content of what's in Life Issues is offered at 7th grade already. So we're not,
It's like reinventing the wheel.
yeah, so I mean, I felt more comfortable with it after that, but I mean, it's really difference. I think that Life Issues is mainly for the student that transfers into the district after 7th grade.
well, and if the child, every child's required to have health, Mark, and
Right.
that's so even if they transfer in, we provide health in 9th grade, so they do get that curriculum that you're referencing that, through the health course at the high school. If they don't get it at Parkview, because it's a state graduation requirement.
The only thing I wasn't clear on is when it refers to the DPI requirements, it was to provide academic and career planning services, but it didn't seem to dictate that it be in a course form, like in a credit format.
And it's
So-
not required to be. The way we looked at it in terms of how can we implement this type of thing with some fidelity, what we looked at, and we had been talking, Jenny, for probably 2 or 3 years now, and focusing on this financial literacy piece, which was a huge, or has been and continues to be a huge push by DPI. And then how could we intertwine this way to include this ACP part? And we thought a freshman required course would be the best way. It's not required to be put in a course, but how do you hit and be consistent in working with a class of 265 students to ensure that they're getting the information that they need, and what's the best way to approach that, we thought, with a course offering. And then they would work collaboratively with the counselors. And what I envision as we continue to build off this, is in the junior, or sophomore, junior, and senior year, having periodic checks with academic focus teachers to ensure that we're monitoring this academic plan, and that by their senior year it's complete and they have something to do. But this way, it's an introduction to all of the students at the same time, early in their high school career, to build a foundation so that when they leave, they have the background and have made decisions and know where they're going when they leave.
So when I look at this, it seems like something you might do and revisit, and what spurs in my mind is increased summer school offerings for our high school students, and wondered if it could work into something like that, or something that you might choose to take more than once.
One of the things we talked, or what's going to
Not
be...
necessarily during a school year, I'm sorry, but maybe in a summer, so that you get that requirement without taking away from other academic offerings.
Right, and that's an excellent suggestion. We continue to build that summer school book, and I'll be back in another month or two with another request as it relates to summer school, I'm sure. But one of the things too would be to encourage students, as kind of a cap course to this course. There's a second course that is available to juniors and seniors as an elective, which is similar. And that would be a nice way to finish their career. And so there is another course in place that would follow this course, but we weren't necessarily asked to make that required.
So then the other thing is, currently Life Issues is usually taken 11th grade,
Junior, senior.
and this would need to be taken freshman year.
Right.
Does that mess up scheduling a lot?
What we would do is we'll finish out with this class, this graduating class, so we'll have about 85 or 90 students that still have to take Life Issues next year. And then it'll still be offered as a elective, but then after next year, things will kind of fall into place. Current freshmen and sophomores won't have a requirement as it relates to life issues or the academic course that we're proposing. They would be obligated to do the global issues and the DEM citizenship that are internal. But that would be the implementation part of it in terms of that we're consistent with the graduating class, that all of those kids will have taken life issues. So there's 90 kids left to take it.
And then this is just a shred of remembering here from a presentation. I remember, I think it was a model schools thing, so maybe it was, I don't know his first name, Daggett?
Bill Daggett.
I'm not sure. Anyway, his suggestion was that we flip-flop what we typically do in high school, so there were more required courses toward the end of high school rather than the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a model school thing, and maybe it was to get depth of course. I don't remember the rationale behind it because that's not my field of study, but I remember hearing it and thinking it made sense. So my concern of adding more required at the front end would be the opposite of that. Now, I didn't even think of that till just moments it sort of came
The thinking
forward.
with at the front with the freshmen is it truly is a 4-year plan that's revisited each year. And so that's the purpose, to start right away.
Okay.
So that we're starting right from the get-go, just identifying a career pathway, making sure kids are taking the right courses as it applies. And so the fear would be if we were to wait until the 11th or 12th grade.
No, I understand why this wouldn't make sense
Yeah,
later.
this is a
I'm
little
just thinking it wouldn't allow as many electives early on, but
Yeah, it's a horse of peace, because then they get to their junior and senior year where it really becomes difficult at times to fit different courses in, especially required courses that it's kind of pay me now or pay me later, for lack of a better term. And so what they maybe don't have as much flexibility their freshman year, they'll have more flexibility their junior and senior year where this course was previously required.
gotcha. Seems to make sense. I'd love to see summer offering in the future.
And we continue to grow on that. It'll be our second year. In fact, we just met with Clean Hansen and talked about what summer may look like. We're still talking about other course offerings in addition to what you suggest, along with continued to building on some of the ACT prep and AP prep and career type courses that we did last year too. So slowly but surely we're building that catalog of opportunities for summer school, and you'll be hearing more about that this spring.
Okay. I'll make a motion then to approve the new course.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve this graduation requirement. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Do we also have to approve no longer having life
Eliminating
issues?
life issues, is that?
As a graduation requirement, we'll still offer the course though.
Yeah, I would say that. Okay, so we'll be approving the course and eliminating the requirement for life issues. Got the Jeffrey?
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Brian. Okay, next on our agenda here is School Choice Board Representative. Before we get into this, I'm going to ask Mr. Anderson if he has anything that he'd like to say to the board, first of all, since he's been sitting here watching this and everything. You're still interested? After watching this?
No, I just appreciate meeting you all. Like you brought up already in the meeting, just looking forward to getting involved, hopefully, paying it forward. I've always been interested in, I've been like neighborhood association president. I've been involved in different committees and associations and stuff like that, but just think this is a good opportunity to get involved a little bit more in Ashwaubenon. And I have many kids that are coming through the school district, so I guess, I have a third grader, a kindergartner, and then I have two ones in Apple right now on the program. So, my wife actually is on the Education Foundation board, and like many good men, I have a better woman that shared this information with me and the opportunity that was coming, and I'm like, well, timing is good, because I mean, I have Mondays that are pretty free, so I figure I'd get involved. So.
Cool. Well, we appreciate you stepping forward on this. I mean, everybody that I've talked to about James has been very positive, that's worked with him in the past and everything, and I think by what we've seen in their application here and everything, I don't see why he wouldn't be a good asset to the board, so. I know John is, I've talked to John several times, I haven't talked to him about this, but I mean, I know that he was willing to, you know, he helped us out in his initial term and everything, and just see how this transpires as we keep moving forward, so. Do we have a motion to approve James Anderson as our School of Choice Board representative?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Alrighty, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And now we just need someone to look for a home in the district and help you guys move in.
Yeah.
And fill out officials.
Well, if Jennifer, is that what you do is your next meeting, you will have packets of information for him?
Yep.
Electronically or hard copy?
Hard copy, I do not have a computer.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Let's go on to board and superintendent communications. I'm going to mention one thing about the referendum projects again. Very soon here, the auditorium is going to be hoisting its final beam. And tradition, they sign it and hoist a flag with a tree on it.
Tree is up.
That's a different tree though. And all the village board, school board, and steering committee is going to be invited to sign this beam before it's lifted. So be aware of this coming forward.
In December?
I think Alice is gonna have a window to when it works for you. Did she say that? Probably in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think Chris Summer said it's gonna be coming up pretty soon because of their work is with the weather.
Right.
You know, they're pretty far along. They're doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's moving along good. And good, I mean, the numbers are looking very much better too, so. Anything else? Okay, future board meetings and topics. I'm gonna throw one topic out there for the next meeting that I think that we should be going over, and it's based off of one of the policies that we just approved tonight. I think that we should have I think it's a closed session probably for reviewing administrative reviews. Also, I'd like to get something sent out to the rest of the board members on an evaluation for the superintendent, just so that we can give him some feedback of what we think, how things are going. So, I don't know if we have something that we've used in the past, I'm sure.
To evaluate them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you want me to send it out?
please, if we can get it back to you so that we can have it in time for the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll send it out tomorrow.
Okay. Efficient. The next board meeting is scheduled for Monday, January 25th, 2016, right here at the district office. Need a motion to go to executive session.
So,
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Luffa, yes.
Williams, yes. Take 5 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, shoot. I didn't turn this on.
Yeah.
I think I'll still be okay. I just didn't update. I don't know.
Yeah.